Hey, what's up, guys? This is Nick from Nick Exposed, and on this episode, I get to share with you guys about 15 minutes, that's 5, so here we go, 15 minutes of unreleased footage from a podcast interview that I did last week. So last week, Wednesday, I jumped on over with the Street PX podcast guys, Casper and Pete. Casper's their main host, Pete was a guest host, and they're currently in their middle of the film week that they host every year. And we got to talk all things film, but also all things creative process. In the 2-hour conversation that we had, they had to cut it down to about an hour and a half. So a bunch of just valuable content had to get removed out of that. Well, Casper sent over a bunch of that, and he's allowing me to share it on here for you guys as just some bonus content, some behind-the-scenes stuff, and just some unreleased goodies for you guys. So there's about 15 minutes, like I said, of just amazing conversation. I do have to say that Casper and Pete both brought fantastic questions to the table, and this was an amazing conversation. So once you guys are done watching this video, I'm going to come back on and I'll talk about it a little bit more, but once you guys are done with this, you guys definitely need to go over and check out the Street PX podcast. They talk about all things street photography and creative process and everything like that, but check out the rest of the interview because we went in deep on a lot of different things, and it was just an amazing conversation. So without further ado, here is the extra bonus footage for you guys, and I will see you guys back here right after this.
Well, jumping back over to the show, I wanted to flip back to the inspirational arts thing because in watching one of your particular videos, you made the Jay Maisel comment. Mm-hmm. And I'm probably going to destroy it here, but you were saying to make more interesting photos, be a more interesting person. Is that
absolutely
pretty much? Yeah. In that you were talking about going and experiencing poetry, like the music, movies, things like this, similar to how you're talking about your zines, just get you away from photography so you can start fresh or get new inspiration. Is it still music and poetry that you're doing now, or have you found any other outlets?
I mean, it's a little bit of everything. I've been reading just a lot of classics. I even go back, personally, I read through like Psalms and different things like that and that type of poetry, but then also reading other poets. I've been kind of looking up. I always love seeing who inspires the people that inspire me, and been kind of researching a little bit of Ralph Gibson's inspiration and just some of the different poetry and music that he was listening to during that time or even currently, and trying to dive into some of that stuff. But it really is anything. I mean, I personally love just diving into a subject for any length of time to be able to get at least a comprehensive idea of what it is. Skateboarding, or even last, I think it was this spring, I stumbled in on a boxing gym and was able to, meet one of the former middleweight world champs of boxing. He just happened to be there that day, which is awesome.
Wow.
But then, too, being able to experience something that I'd never experienced before. And I've never been in a boxing gym. I've never really been into boxing. But at the same time, getting to see just the way that these guys would dance around and in the ring. And it was so... I think so many people, I myself included, have looked at boxing in the past of, that's just two guys duking it out in the middle of the ring, but there's so much finesse to it, so much grace to it, and being able to walk away having seen that, being able to walk away, it's just incredible. You walk away with a new thought process on things, even if it's not necessarily like an overt thought process of, now I'm going to change the way that I approach photography. It's going, maybe I could dance around a scene a little bit more, and maybe it's not all striking, rights and lefts, but actually being able to, let me go this direction. I like asking myself questions when I'm out shooting, and I go, okay, so if I were to go out on the street and actually approach the street in a defensive way, what would that look like? And I don't know the answer to that, but I like approaching it, and I like kind of questioning that and going, what would street photography in a ducking and weaving way look like? And then allowing my mind to fill in the blanks wherever. And that was the whole thing, going back to that zine of, the question was, if I were to approach this zine, if I were to approach Chicago in the form of a jazz song, And I love giving myself these questions that oftentimes make no sense. I remember when I walked downstairs and I told my wife, I was like, hey, the next zine, the zine that I'm going to make it off of a jazz song. And she's like, what the heck are you talking about? Like, it makes no sense at first.
Is that usually one of the ways how you judge whether or not you got a good idea is if you tell someone and they're like, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is like,
you're like, okay, I'm onto it. I
actually get excited when people don't understand something because more oftentimes for everyone else it's going to be in retrospect, but for me it's going to be going through the actual process of diving into that thing. And even if I don't come up with a definite absolute answer, it at least brings me to a different place than I was before I started asking myself that question. So that's kind of how I take that whole quote of becoming a more interesting person is, I think to simplify it even further is discovering more questions and different questions to be able to ask myself. And oftentimes I discover those questions by approaching things that are outside of photography.
Well, it was one of those things because I saw that video you were talking about with you going into the boxing gym, and was it one of those situations where the idea just sort of hit you in the head in the moment, and then you went and asked if it was okay to shoot, and then you sort of decided on okay, well, here's an opportunity. It also goes to one of the other videos you had in terms of go out and shoot it, even though it may not seem right because it may not be there tomorrow. But was it one of those things where it sort of follows along the ethos that you have done versus perfect?
Sure.
Is that something how it went that way? Would you like to how does that work with you?
Let me go in a couple directions with that. So to start off, the way that I stumbled upon the boxing gym was I was just walking around photographing. There's this giant Catholic church that just has these amazing steeples on it, and was going over to actually photograph just the steeples against some cloudy sky, and it was good lighting, and it just wasn't working for what I was hoping. So I just walked around the block and happened to stumble upon this Golden Gloves gym, and I know a guy that I talk to frequently who was in the Navy and was a Golden Glove champ, and just kind of the connection just sprung out to me. And I walked up to the door to see if it was actually a boxing gym because all it said was Golden Gloves gym. So I was like, oh, I think this is a boxing gym. And then I seen that the hours they had just opened, and it was one of those things where the curiosity kind of took over of, I don't know if I'm allowed in here or what, if this is an exclusive club or if I'm going to get my tail handed to me, but I'm going to walk in there and just bring my camera in, and they accepted me. And yeah, it was one of those things of, I'm here right now, I might as well take advantage of it because I don't know if I'm ever going to be around this area or in this situation again. So yes and no to the done versus perfect on that one.
Okay. But
done versus perfect definitely plays into a big part of what I do.
Nice.
Especially with the YouTube videos because, like I said, they're all recorded on an iPhone, and it's I've gotten to the point where like I try and get to the quality like as good as possible, or I try to cut out as many ums and ahs as possible. But if it's, I don't care if it's imperfect when it goes out there, as long as it serves its job well.
I need to start taking a page out of your book on that when it comes to the podcast, because whenever I go to edit like an hour and a half worth of audio, and the hours pass by, the sun goes down, and then the sun comes back up, and I'm still staring into the lights of Adobe Audition, and it's just me going, but I want it to be perfect, and this is wrong, and that's wrong, and then I get it right, I export it, I post it, and then when I'm listening to it, I get halfway through, and I'm like, shit, there's an in there I want out. Just let the damn thing go. Perfect. Yeah, exactly.
And I think the beauty of YouTube especially is because it's revealed the fact that we've thought for years and years and years that people expect perfection, that people want perfection. But I think more so than perfection, people want authenticity.
Yeah.
And I think when you present in an authentic way, when you're yourself, even it's actually pretty funny. I do a live stream every Tuesday for the 2 Minute Tuesdays. It's a live stream at the end of the day to where anybody that watched the video could jump on. We can discuss this thing. And it's become kind of a running theme in this live stream of the different tics that I have of, like, I say totally all the time, or I'll say, hey buddy, you know, every time somebody jumps on, I used to go, hey buddy, I see you out there. Hey buddy, I see you out there. And it was like,
Jim loves fantastic.
It became kind of this meme. Yeah, and fantastic. I don't know that I'll ever give up fantastic. I just absolutely love that word. It is fantastic. But it's one of those things to where I don't think that I've lost too many subscribers or too many people in my community because of these weird quirks and tics that I have. I think I've actually gained more because of the authenticity. It's not the perfection of my speech. It's the authenticity of the content that I'm bringing.
Well, I think we spent a lifetime thinking about media, multimedia in terms of perfection. You know, a professional studio, Thursday night NBC and perfect radio stations and so forth. But now in the age of YouTube, vlogcasting and podcasting and stuff, it's growing exponentially because you're right, what you said. It's that genuine, you see the people as they are, just like this live stream and that really rough opening we had with having a live show. What? And our tendency to ramble and so forth. The people appreciate that because they make it makes it feel like a conversation rather than a 60 minutes episode.
Sure. I think gone are the days of trying to be a celebrity or trying to be the perfect figure. And there's still a lot of people that are out there trying to do that. There's a lot of 13-year-olds out there online trying to play expert.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you just got into this 4 months ago. Whatever it is. But
enjoy the learning experience.
Oh, absolutely. When it becomes a conversation, when it becomes in a way that people can actually go, I can relate to them because I fall into that same kind of quirk. I fall into stumbling with my words or stage fright or anything like that.
Well, that was something you brought that up in another one of your videos that I found fascinating, was your take on social media and how to use it.
Sure.
And sort of going to the authenticity of it, right? You know, if we talk about authenticity or if we talk about being genuine, right?
Sure.
You had made mention the notion of, hey guys, this is social media. And I was wondering if you want to talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah. So if you look up social media strategies on YouTube, you're going to get all sorts of, go follow people, then unfollow them. Or there's all sorts of weird strategies they're based on building numbers. Yeah. And oftentimes I think we forget that there's actually people behind those numbers. And when we realize that there's people behind those numbers and they want to be approached as people and not as numbers, it allows us to approach things in a much deeper way and in a much different way. And, one thing that I would offer out to everyone listening, and something that I've been challenging myself on, is I think there's a difference between going deep and going wide. And I think oftentimes we think of, because numbers games oftentimes in our head become a wide perspective. I'm trying to gain as many numbers as I possibly can, and that's what success looks like. But what if that's not true? And what if it's actually gaining as many numbers as you can that are like deep numbers, meaning people that actually connect with you? I would much rather take 100 dedicated people to a community than get 100,000 and only have 2 people ever interact with anything. I think there's a quality of numbers, and then even to take it further, there's a quality of individual that's following you. Not that they fall out of quality if they aren't connecting with you. It's just there's certain people that you're going to connect with, and you don't always need a large audience. You just need a attentive audience and someone that's going to actually build conversation with you. And one of the things that I said in one of my social media videos is, if you think that 50 people following you is a low number, then try reaching out to all 50 of those people and try having a conversation with them on a weekly and daily basis.
Right.
It's going to become a very large number very quick.
Right.
and hence the mailbag that you have back there.
Yeah, exactly, right? And honestly, it kind of terrifies me to think about guys like Ted Forbes, guys like Matt Day, guys like anybody out there that have these large subscriber numbers on YouTube. it terrifies me to think if my channel ever got to that, not that I wouldn't embrace it, but at the same time, I love community, and I love being able to connect with people, and I love being able to go back through and respond to each of the comments and actually carry on conversation with people. I love that I go into my live stream and I know the people that were there last week and the week before, and I could actually, we have running jokes together. It is truly a community. And I think there gets to be a point to where you've cast your net too wide that you lose the sense of being able to connect with the people that you're trying to connect with.
Yeah, it's a difference between, once you get to a certain size, it's a difference between turning a semi-truck or Mini Cooper.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's completely different. And as much as, like I said, I embrace whatever numbers come, but at the same time, I'm not chasing numbers, I'm chasing community. And I think that that's what social media should be in the first place.
Yeah. You're wanting a Venn diagram, not a graph.
Right? Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed that bonus footage. Thank you again to Casper for sending this over and just graciously allowing me to just share this with you guys. So yeah, these podcasts that I get to be a part of, I'm so grateful and just humbled to be asked to be on these podcasts. And I really do hope that you go over and check out the rest of the Street PX interview that we just did this last week, but then also a bunch of their other interviews, because they really truly have brought on some amazing talent and have gone in deep on just creative process and just the thought process behind street photography, documentary photography, and just everything that they bring on over there. So I think you guys are really going to like it. I'd also love to hear your thoughts about one, the conversation that you just heard, but then two, about the rest of the podcast. Check out the episode and then shoot me a DM or come back in here and leave your comments down below and just leave me some thoughts on some of these things. So I'm going to be doing a couple things. I'm going to be doing a actual video on all of my favorite film photography related podcasts coming up soon. I get asked this question quite a bit, and I'd love to just put out a whole list of just other podcasts that I think you guys should be aware of and following. And then two, I've been getting a lot of messages from you guys asking how I'm doing this week's 2 Minute Tuesday. I talked about just being under the weather, and I do want to say that I am on the upswing. I'm not quite 100%, but I'm definitely getting a lot better. So we'll be back in the swing of making just tons of videos coming up soon, and I look forward to seeing you over there. If this is the first video of my channel that you've seen, go ahead and check out some of the other videos. I'd love to have you subscribe and just really kind of join in on the community aspect that we have here. So again, I look forward to hearing you guys' comments. And again, thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.